ってゼロではない。
If you like fallen heroes who get consumed in darkness, then the life story of Ultraman Belial will surely interest you. He is a warrior who dramatically turns into a supervillain and then goes on to take even more monstrous forms to fulfill his ambitions. But eventually, he dies at the hands of his own son. In this video, we will discuss the origin story of Ultraman Belial, his terrifying attempts to conquer the universe, and the many forms he took on this journey. We will also share some interesting facts about Belial, so make sure you stick to this video until the end. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The origins of Ultraman Belial. Belial is an Ultra being hailing from the land of light, also known as the Ultra Star. Ultraman Belial was a mighty warrior of the planet. Alongside his comrade, Ultraman Kin, he fought in the ultimate wars waged against the army of Alien Emperor. Belial had also come across a woman named Ultra Woman Marie and wished to be with her. But in the war, Marie bestowed Ultraman Ken with the Ultimate Blade, a legendary weapon in the land of light, and he defeated Alien Emperor with this weapon. Afterward, Ultraman Ken was raised to the position of Father of Ultra, a designation that made him the top commander of the Intergalactic Defense Force, and he also married Ultraman Marie. Belial had always been an ambitious man and had sought power. When his comrade was chosen as the only one to wield the Ultimate Blade, and then to be the top commander instead of Belial himself, Belial's hunger for power was deeply shaken. The power dynamics corrupted his mind, and his pride was also hurt. Belial wanted power, and he was ready to go beyond everyone to achieve that. So he finally decided to gain power from the Plasma Spark, an artificial sun built to keep the Ultra Star alive. Ultraman Belial went to the Plasma Spark Tower and attempted to grab its core, but the light's power was too intense for him to bear, and he began to scream in agony. He was then caught by the Intergalactic Defense Force and exiled from the Land of Light. Exiled Belial ended up on a planet that looked similar to the moon. On this planet, he met an alien who introduced himself as Rayblood, who reigns the universe. Rayblood promised to give Belial the power he seeks, and then he infused his genes into Belial and turned him into a Rayonic. This led to the birth of the Dark Ultra Warrior Belial. Ultraman Belial was then bestowed with a deadly weapon called the Giga Battlemizer that could control 100 monsters. With these new powers, Belial returned to the Land of Light for his revenge, but Ultraman King arrived on the scene and locked Belial in the space prison, which became the moon of the Land of Light, and Belial's Giga Battlemizer was sealed in the Valley of Flames. The terrifying saga of Ultraman Belial. Ultraman Belial returned in Mega Monster Battle Ultra Galaxy, the movie, in 2009. He had been imprisoned for thousands of years. Then the alien Zarub freed him and returned the Giga Battlemizer in the hopes of forging an alliance, but Belial killed them. Ken and Marie's son Ultraman Taro attacked Belial with other Ultra Warriors, but Belial defeated them and reached the Plasma Spark Tower. When Belial had defeated both the father and mother of Ultra and was about to kill them, Ultraman Taro reappeared and risked his life to save his parents. Belial spared them and proceeded to steal the Plasma Spark, and then the planet got engulfed in darkness. With the Plasma Spark, Belial revived his army of monsters in the monster graveyard, while all the Ultra Warriors were left frozen, except Ultraman, Ultra 7, and Mebius. The three challenged Belial with the aid of the human Rayonic, named Raymond. Ultra 7 collapsed during the fight, and his son Ultraman Zero appeared on the scene, who then killed all the monsters and managed to throw Belial into the lake of fire. Belial combined himself with the soul of the monsters and became Belyudra, but he was eventually defeated. Belial declared that he would return and then vanished. In 2010, Belial returned in Ultraman Zero: The Revenge of Belial. He was now Kaiser Belial, the emperor of the Belial Galactic Empire based in the Malabrandes space station. Belial also had an army of robots and two allies named Darkon and Iron, with whom he defeated Mirror Knight and conquered his world Esmeralda, which is full of emeralds usable as raw energy. Belial then attacked the Land of Light to initiate his conquest of the universe. Ultraman Zero clashed with these invaders, but Iron captured him, although later he was freed by Mirror Knight. Meanwhile, Belial absorbed the energy of the emeralds and became Arch Belial, and then attempted to destroy Esmeralda, but Ultraman Zero protected it with a massive shield. In this defensive move, Ultraman Zero reached a near-death state, but Ultraman Noah revived him, after which he served the final Ultimate Zero attack and killed Belial. Belial's dead body was cast in the monster graveyard, but it somehow combined with the armored darkness, a sentient armor, and resurrected. Belial returned once again in the Ultra Zero Fight miniseries in 2012. He created the Darkness 5 army of powerful aliens, and later a battle ensued with Ultraman Zero. Belial again suffered a fatal blow and seemingly died, but his soul possessed Ultraman Zero's body and became Ultraman Zero Darkness. He then ambushed the Ultimate Force Zero and killed all the heroes present there, and then summoned the Darkness 5 to conquer the universe. Meanwhile, Ultraman Zero's real soul internally fought with Belial's soul. Ultraman Zero transformed into a more powerful, shining form and exorcised Belial's spirit from his body, and then reversed the time in his vicinity to revive the heroes while Belial's spirit burned away. Unknowingly, Ultraman Zero's time reversal also revived Belial. In the pre-Ultraman Geed, Ultraman Belial is seen fully revived. He devises a scheme to regain his Giga Battlemizer, and also kills the Rayonics alien named Rebatos during these events. A planet named Sturm had been absolutely destroyed, and Belial encountered an inhabitant named Kei Fukuide, whom he then saved from the destructed planet and gave a place in the Darkness 5. His army was now called Terror the Belial, and they fought against the Ultra Warriors in a battle called the Omega Armageddon. Belial triggered the superdimensional eradication bomb, which initiated an apocalyptic incident known as the Crisis Impact, and the Earth became the epicenter. It created a black hole that began to consume the entire universe, but Ultraman King emerged as the savior and reversed the damage. Belial himself vanished into a pocket dimension to heal himself during these events, and assigned a task to Kei Fukuide to accomplish in the meantime. Belial had sent Kei Fukuide to steal a transformation device named the Riser and its assets, the Ultra Capsules, from the Land of Light. Belial had also given his genetic material to Kei to create his son, who was then named Riku Asakura. With the stolen material, a darker version of Ultra Capsules were created, and they were named Kaiju Capsules, while Belial remained hidden in the pocket dimension. About 19 years later, during the events of the Ultraman Geed series, Belial was finally able to begin the execution of his plan to turn his son Riku into Ultraman Geed, and eventually restore himself in the corporeal form. For this master plan, Belial gave some of his powers to his servant Kei, with which Kei could summon the Kaiju Capsules and transform himself into the Belial fusion monsters. We will soon discuss these monsters and also the transformation process, so keep watching. Now, after receiving these powers, Kei made a blunder that risked the discovery of Belial's operations. As a result, Belial had to escape from the pocket dimension, and then he headed towards the Earth in the form of the Belial fusion monster Chimera Barris. Belial kidnapped his son and headed towards the moon to absorb him, but his plan was foiled with the intervention of Ultraman King and Leha. Belial's son, Ultraman Geed, also managed to escape. The battle that ensued was soon brought to the Earth, where Ultraman Geed took the Royal Mega Master form and fired his finishing move. However, Belial had survived this clash. He tore Kei's Sturm organ and used it to revive himself. He had also reclaimed the capsules. With these capsules, he again transformed himself and became Belial Atrocious. Before going to the Land of Light, Belial Atrocious went to the Earth to demonstrate his newly gained powers. There, he classified clashed with his son Ultraman Geed. Ultraman King granted a power to Geed, which allowed him to bring his 5 forms simultaneously and fight Belial. After that, Geed destroyed Belial's ultimate weapon, the Giga Battlemizer, and reverted him back to his original form. Belial was then taken to another dimension by Ultraman Geed, and then they both clashed there once again, but this time in both mental and physical states. In that dimension, Ultraman Geed gained access to his father's memories and witnessed the suffering Belial had endured in all these years. After witnessing these memories, Ultraman Geed ceased the battle in the mental realm and embraced his father. Geed decided to free his father from being a Rayonic and expelled the Ray blood from Belial, but their fight continued physically and they both fought a beam clash. Belial was eventually defeated, and then Ultraman Geed trapped his father in that dimension right before he escaped. This version of Belial met his end, but Belial was seen again in the Ultra Galaxy Fight miniseries as an alternate version of himself. In the second series, entitled The Absolute Conspiracy, Belial's timeline was disrupted by Absolute Tartarus before Belial had merged with Rayblood. Absolute Tartarus is an alien of the Absolutian race who travels through timelines and recruits the enemies of the Land of Light. Absolute Tartarus approaches his targets before their death and convinces them to be turned into the isotopes with their absolutium power of Tartarus. The same happened with the exiled Belial, whom Absolute Tartarus showed his future and his eventual death. Belial realized that his future achievements would be all for nothing and accepted Tartarus's offer. Belial became his own parallel isotope powered with the absolute particles, instead of becoming a Rayonic, since he never met Rayblood. Afterward, Belial became part of the Kingdom, where he met another parallel ultra isotope named Tragear. Belial assisted Absolute Tartarus alongside Tragear to defeat the Ultra Brothers on the satellite Golgotha, and then acted as a divergence to cover for Tartarus, who had to escape with the kidnapped Yulian, the princess of the Land of Light. They had managed to successfully kidnap Yulian, but later they were not able to prevent the Ultras from rescuing her. During these events of the Ultra Galaxy Fight, the destined crossroad, Belial was eventually left disillusioned and he decided to leave the kingdom. But before leaving, he tore the storage of Tartarus and took away the Giga Battlemizer. Before we discuss Belial's monstrous forms and the fusion monsters, let's have a quick glance at Belial's rather indirect appearances in other movies and shows. In the Ultraman Ginga S the movie, Belial himself did not appear, but his Edeldummy version was seen that was created by a demonic alien named Edelgar. Belial was seen again in the Ultraman Orb series, but as an Ultra Fusion card owned by the alien called Dawn Nostra. Also, Belial did not physically appear in Ultra Fight Orb, but he was mentioned by Ultraman Zero when he met Raybados for the first time. Raybados also attempted to revive Belial after his assumed death. In Ultraman RB, Belial was seen as the RB crystal in the hands of a character named Saki Mitsurugi, who gave the crystal to another character named Asahi Minato. In Ultraman Taiga, a criminal organization named Villain Guild had salvaged Belial's genes sometime around Belial's death. These genes were then purchased by alien Chibo Mabuse to create Skull Gamora with his lifeform experiments. Mabuse then served alien Zarab and others, which eventually led to the creation of imitation Ultraman Belial, a mindless clone of the original Belial with similar fighting powers and techniques. More fragments of Belial, known as the Devil Splinters, were seen across various dimensions in the events of Ultraman Z. A glimpse into Ultraman Belial's monstrous forms, transformation, and frightening fusion monsters. Using his Belial virus energy through his claws, Belial is able to turn life forms into his servants, but he is also capable of taking monstrous forms such as Beludra and Arch Belial, and he does this by absorbing monsters or raw energy from sources such as the Emeralds of Esmeralda. Now we will have a look at the distinct forms of Ultraman Belial, starting with his Ultra Ultra form. Firstly, we have his original form, which Belial had before he had been infused with the DNA of Ray blood and transformed into his darker Rayonic form. This form used techniques like the Deathsium Beam, Belial Claw, Belial Thunder, and Belial Slash. After meeting Ray blood, Ultraman Belial took the Rayonics form that emitted minus energy, which causes the monsters to go violent. He later took the Kaiser Belial form, who wore a blood-red cape and had a scarred face, although this was not a truly new form. Belial gained additional abilities like the Spirit form, which he took after his physical death, and the Ultra Willpower, with which he could control objects with his mind. Belial also took the Zero Darkness form when he had possessed Ultraman Zero in his spirit form and then gone on a killing spree. Belial had control over Ultraman Zero's abilities and gained special attacks like the Deathsium Shot, Dark Zero Flash, and Dark High Spin. Now we will look at his monster forms, and first up on the list is Belyudra, who is a chimera formed with 226 monsters. Belial had also fused himself and become the chimera's brain. Although they were able to act separately, Belial controlled him with his Giga Battlemizer. Belial's Belyudra form can shoot a yellow laser called the Belyudra Inferno. Each monster is about to shoot it individually as well as simultaneously on Belial's command. He also has an attack called the Gigant Fist and the Belyudra Deathbuster. Next we have Arch Belial, who came into being when Belial had absorbed a large quantity of the Esmeraldan Emeralds. This Belial is one of the most powerful and largest forms who is able to grip Ultraman Zero in his closed hand. Arch Belial also has a variant named Arch Belial Blue, who appeared in Ultra Heroes Expo 2018 Battle Stage. Belial also has the armored form known as Kaiser Darkness, who possesses all the powers of the Armored Darkness and could even teleport to different locations with the usage of lightning bolts. Ultraman Belial also appears in the Cyber form, and then we have his Fusion Rise forms, which are essentially the Belial fusion monsters. Before we check out these monsters, let's delve into the transformation process. Belial has the Riser and the Kaiju capsules, which are used as assets for the Fusion Rise. When two capsules are scanned, the trigger of the Riser is pressed to initiate the transformation. Belial uses telekinesis for the action and absorbs the Kaiju capsule's projections before finishing the transformation. An eclipse is also seen in the background during this process. Belial has appeared as King Galactron, formed with the fusion of King Joe and Galactron, Chimera Barris formed with the 5 King and Zog second form, and Ultraman Belial Atrocious formed with Dark Lugiel and Alien Emperor in unison with K's Sturm Organ used to absorb Ultraman King's energy from the space. In the Ultraman Geed, Belial's servant K Fukuide also had the ability to transform into Belial fusion monsters by using Belial's dark energy with the Riser and the Kaiju capsules. The other Belial fusion monsters include Skull Gamora, formed with Red King and Gamora, Thunder Killer, made by combining Ace Killer and Ella King, Pedanium Zeton as combination of Zeton and King Joe, and some other forms like Maga Maga Arch Belial, Strong Gamorant, Bemzeed, and Burning Bemstra, who have appeared in the Ultraman Fusion Fight Capsule Fusion video game. Interesting facts about Ultraman Belial. Ultraman Belial has some cool details besides his amazing monstrous forms and the terrifying saga of seeking revenge and power. When the Ultra beings speak, their mouths do not have any noticeable motion, but Ultraman Belial differs here because his mouth opens while speaking, but it does not open too wide and is often missed. Belial is also among the Dark Ultras who have the highest number of distinct forms and can change themselves into kaiju. It is a known fact that Belial is a Dark Ultra who has been resurrected, but another interesting fact about Belial is that he has broken the fourth wall while communicating and has interacted with the viewers. In a stage show, Belial had also allied with Alien Emperor and Judah. He is also among the rare Ultras who have not fought in the Dark Spark War. Belial had originally been a hero before his downfall and transformation into an evil form, and interestingly, his name is also associated with Satan, the very picture of evil, since he is named after one of the 7 princes from Hell. Ultraman Belial also shares similarities with Dark Zagi, because both the characters are extremely powerful and have their own servants, and both of them have an ultimate form that looks like a kaiju. Plus, both of these Ultras have a cyber kaiju form. When it comes to design, it was inspired by sharks, while the color was inspired by lava. He is also the first evil Ultra to have originated from the homeland of the heroic Ultra being, that is, the Land of Light. Some other known facts often overlooked include that Ultraman Belial is a rayonic, and that he has one of the largest forms that can hold the Ultras in his hands, whereas most kaijus take the same size as the Ultras. Belial is also the first evil Ultra to have fused with another Ultra. However, he is the fourth Ultra to have done the same. Marvelous verdict. Belial's origin and character development as an antagonist throughout his appearances make him a fascinating character. Jeed understanding his father's suffering before sealing him in another dimension was a good ending for this evil Ultra. So seeing his parallel isotope often upsets the fans. But what do you think? Should Belial be put to rest forever, or should he keep appearing as the antagonist? Comment and let us know your thoughts on this below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.